would have flown down, but I have these videotapes that I have to bring to get duplicated, and they're my family's. They're not mine. They're my family's. So if I lost them or if they got damaged, I'd be in trouble. So,
All right.
all
Let
right.
me know when we go live.
What's that?
I said, Jen, just let me know when we go live here.
We're live.
We're live now.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Woo!
live now. We
All
can
right,
start out
there we
talking
go.
energy unless you're trying to park there, David.
No, it's all right. It's all right. This is a dynamic show here. Now I'm stopped. I'm all set. Let's retweet this. So
You got the 3 bald guys on here this morning.
Yeah, follically challenged is usually David's line at the end. So,
Oh, David, your face is frozen.
It's because he's tweeting, but it's very trendy to do videos from your car. So, let's see how today
Yeah.
goes.
we're avant-garde.
Very on trend, David.
I saw there's supposed to be wet snow in northeast Pennsylvania today. That's a bit further from you, Banks, I know.
Hmm.
There's supposed to be wet snow in northeast Pennsylvania today.
Yeah, we've got nothing going on in Boston.
Yeah, we've got nothing here. I thought you were for some reason, I thought you were in PA. Yeah, we've had rain here tonight.
all right, I'm back now.
You're back. It's a nice rental car you got there.
Again.
No, this is my car. So like I said, I drove down today. So this is
Oh wow.
this is
Jersey to
a
Florida.
long. Yep. So
Wow.
like I said, so they're videotapes of my brothers and sisters. If it were just my family, I'd ship them out. But because if I lost them, it would be a disaster. So
Be an uncomfortable Thanksgiving.
well, they won't be duplicated by then. But so that's going to be, if any of my brothers and sisters are watching, guess what? Your Christmas present will be all your family memories on a thumb drive. So, and if you don't like that because you had bad memories, guess what? That's what all you're getting. So let's talk stocks. I have a few things to talk about to warm everybody up, and then maybe we'll go to you, Bob. But first, look, the administration's still working on this most favored nation status thing for drug pricing. So don't think just because we've moved on to other things that it's gone away. Remember, Novo and Lilly did deals, and then AstraZeneca rushed in and did a deal, and that's I'm in the way here. That's great, but that doesn't mean there aren't going to be more deals if drug companies are smart, or this ramping up again. So there's been a reprieve. The drug index, the XLV, the XBI both have been doing quite well. The XBI not so well the last little bit as rate cut momentum has slowed a little bit, but the XLV has been doing really well, and Ben's been certainly on that, so nailed it perfectly. When no one else wanted drug stocks, he was like, hey, that could be an area. I still think they're super cheap, but just keep in mind, this is something that will rear its head again. But that's really for healthcare. That all I wanted to cover today. I still own Merck. I still own some Pfizer on the large cap side. I own some Japanese drug companies, but I don't hold I have the XLV, but I don't have a giant swath of large drug companies. I have some Amgen, which certainly is large, but with that, let's turn it over to you, Bob. What's going on? I mean, I tell you, it's 80 and sunny here in Florida, so I don't know if I care about natural gas and oil prices.
No, I do. By the way, Merck, that's been a good call. That stock seems to be breaking out here. It has been really doing well. So
they had some. I mentioned on the show the other day that the show. the show that you weren't on, I mentioned they had some great data on a cardiovascular drug, and people should take notice of it. I mean, it's Amgen did as well. So, um, and they may be in the obesity market as well with an oral pill. That's the one that I would watch. But
Mm-hmm. Anyway, well, on oil, so it's probably just a coincidence that the day after that Trump meets with Crown Prince from Saudi Arabia, oil's down 3%. I don't know. I'm not going to read anything in between the lines there or anything like that, but interesting that the next day it's down 3%. Now, everybody seems to be bared up on oil, which when there's I always think about the old saying, when there's blood in the water is when the time you want to step in and buy. And Goldman was on the wire yesterday saying that WTI oil is going to average $52 a barrel in 2026. This whole oversupply scenario has been in place for quite some time. So this is nothing new. Everybody, including the IEA and a lot of the large Wall Street banks, I think Goldman's the most bearish, but they always seem to take the extreme condition. Oil's always going to zero or going to 200. But they they're bared up. Everybody seems to be bared up on oil, which the stocks have actually held in nicely for the fact that now we're down here around $59 a barrel. And so the question is, how much of that is baked in, and how much, how early do you want to be in sort of making this bet that oil's not going to be as bad as a lot of the bears seem to indicate, or at least what seems to be reflected in the market here. And our view is it continues to be that we're going to be in this $60 to $70 per barrel range. That doesn't mean you might not dip below 60 like we are today from time to time. But, certainly the scenario is that we're going to be oversupplied next year with production projects coming on in Guyana, in Brazil in particular. I don't think you're going to see much growth out of the U.S. As companies continue to be pretty conservative, maybe 10th or 100, 200,000 barrels a day, but nothing significant. In the meantime, natural gas is holding in very well with the near-month contract up here close to 450. And so I'm not chasing anything here, but I'm sticking with my positions. Ian Bakes and I were talking a little bit pre-show here, and we'd mentioned on Monday how C&Q technically seemed to be breaking out. That's a stock that's up, I think it's up like 12% year to date, maybe a little bit more at this point. That stock's doing very well here. The natural gas exposed names Expand and EQT continue to do very well, both up very nicely year to date. The one that I sort of lukewarm on is EOG, which I mentioned here a few weeks ago. I was trying to reduce a little bit of my exposure to rotate that into some of the more natural gas names like Expand and EQT, which I'm overweight. But and we talked Monday about natural gas. We're sort of waiting for weather to kick in here for the winter, which it really hasn't yet, although natural gas prices are up nicely. Like I said, near month contract, December contract at 450. That's all good. But with oil here, I'm encouraged that the names are holding up as well as they are with what bearishness is out there. I mean, it seems, I don't know if sentiment on oil prices themselves can get a lot more bearish. That doesn't mean they may not dip further, but that intrigues me as Bakes and I were talking. That's sort of when you want to step in here when everybody's bared up and everybody's scared. But the stocks are holding in well. I mean, I think Bakes, you pulled up a chart on C&Q that we talked about before, technically looking very strong here, perhaps breaking out as I think it's kind of, we're just, 50 cents away from its 52-week high, Bakes?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about before the two levels, 33.24, closed above that. The volume is okay. It's not dazzling, but it's okay. And then 34 here. But I'll say it again. I said it offline. The guys at Goldman Sachs should buy a chart book. I'm sure they've got a 34 tab spreadsheet that says that their supply estimates are spot on, but oil and gas is getting better. And I haven't said that in 4 years. Here's the long-term chart, the monthly on C&Q. And I mean, it's where it was 4 years ago. I think this is about to change. And I said to, Bob offline, if you're not full, and I say this to our members, if you're not full, in the case of C&Q at 34.34, get full then, because if you have a close above that, especially on above average volume, the change is in. And the fact that the charts look like this with oil at 59 and nat gas at 50 tells me I think that you're going to see a 6 or 7 handle in a few months, and probably a 5 handle on nat gas, and things are getting better. Schlumberger is being exhumed, and the OIH, the oil service stocks, are looking better. So one man gathers what another man spills. You see the semiconductors rolling over, all this angst over AI spending and off balance sheet financing, and it's going to energy to a certain extent. And we've seen this movie. It's 3% of the S&P, and you probably, if you're a manager that's up against the S&P, you underperformed this year again. And how do you make that up? Well, you make a bet. You say oil's going to be 6% of my portfolio, and I'm going to get it right. I'm going to find some doubles here and make some money. So it isn't definitive. That's why I wait for above average volume closes, but it's getting there. It's getting there. And stay tuned, because we'll chronicle this for you.
Yeah, and pull up the
Yep.
chart and
Well,
expand energy too here, Bakes. That's our
EXE?
favorite natural gas name.
Yeah, and this, just for what it's worth to our members, I went through every ETF that's out there, 5,132. They added over 100 last month, and it takes a bit of time. But this is what's going on with energy. Here's the 50-day that is within 30 cents of crossing above the 200-day on, again, okay volume, not dazzling volume, but by the time the volume is dazzling, it's probably too late. So I think things are getting better here. And I'll when I see these levels get violated, and the trend becomes more definitive, I'll let you know. But again, 123.34 is the level on expand. If you're not full there, get full when you have that close. It isn't that far away.
And you're
All
getting
right.
more chatter in the news about AI and the demand we're going to start to see really pick up next year. I'm sure everybody saw this morning that the Trump administration is going to provide $1 billion loan to Constellation Energy to restart one of the units that used to be 3 Mile Island. They changed the name of it, but that nuclear facility is going to be starting back up next year. And they're talking about the need for power for all these data centers. And that's going to be the biggest component of that incremental demand is going to be from natural gas fired power plants.
Which is, by the way, worth it, because we need more AI-driven cat videos. So if you like that type of content, you should like the restarting of a previously troubled nuclear power plant.
You know what the problem with that is? My wife and daughter look at a lot of these videos, and now it's getting frustrating because they look at something and they say, wait a minute, that's AI. And half the videos that look really interesting, your cat videos, turn out to be not real. They turn out to be AI. That was just a side note. When you mentioned the
No,
cat
I
videos.
agree. At some point there'll be a law that says that if it's AI generated, it has to have a mark on it that says AI driven, because it's getting so good where you can fake news.
Yeah.
You can, and so and the fake news organizations are probably mad about that too. So it's yeah. But what else do you have for us, Bob? Or are we moving to Kevin?
No, that's sort of where we are here. Look, I'm still very positive on the gas exposed names, expand and EQT. I'm overweight. They haven't pulled back to level where I would add the positions yet, just because I'm in them at a lot lower level than where they're trading today. But again, if I were to add anything here near term, it'd be on any pullback and expand in EX and EQT.
And what if you're going to segue to me, what I'm asking, encouraging, you pick the gerund. Don't wait for pullbacks, and if you see closes above these levels, be full, get full, own full positions, because you're probably not getting pullbacks of any consequence from here on out, is what I see. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah, I
I won't
agree.
try.
For me, I'm already overweight the name, so I'm more than full already. So if I'm going to add to them,
Okay.
it's
But
going to be
then
on a
for
pullback.
our subscribers, where this has been moribund for years, I think that's over, in my opinion. So, because I think I like to hold winners and shoot losers, and I think a lot of investors go the other way. So, there we go.
All right.
I've got a couple.
What else do you
I've got a
have for
couple.
us, Kevin?
I've got, and you guys stole my thunder a little bit, but I go through not only every ETF that's out there, 5,000 plus, but I also go through every name we have discussed on the show, and these are the kind of charts that grab my eye when I see them. Merck closed above 91, and here the volume really is impressive. I mean, this is Merck, and this has been a snooze fest for I think 4 years again, right? Yeah, we're basically at 2021 levels. So yes, we had a spike above that, but this is a trend change in my opinion. The 50 days gone up through the 200-day here, the volume's picking up. You have good news. It's a Dow component. My suspicion is that if you polled all the portfolio managers, they're underweight pharma in general, Merck in particular, and you've got positive data points that are showing up. Apparently, they like the acquisition they did, and they like the data. So, I think this is changing pretty meaningfully, and a close above 97 and change, and I like it even more. So, things are getting better here, and you have to listen to Maris because he's been really good. And healthcare, this whole AI is driving the market. There's other things to do. We talk about it all the time, and we show it all the time. You mentioned 3 Mile Island. 3 Mile Island. No one was injured at 3 Mile Island. Jackson Brown he's not doing concerts anymore. It's over. We need nuclear, and it's coming, and that's why I'm so bullish on uranium. So just to have another note to that today, I think uranium is probably going to beat everything next year, but we'll stay tuned to this space. Anything next for Merck, David, that you're looking for? Catalyst?
No, I mean it's kind of climbing this wall of worry. The reason people don't want to own Merck is because they have this multi $10 billion drug, like $20 billion drug, Keytruda, that is going to go off patent in a few years. And how do they fill that hole? Well, we've seen this with other drug companies that sometimes they underperform for a long time, and then as you get closer, if it's all built in, there's nowhere but up. I'd be a little bit cautious on that because I don't like when companies try to fill that hole with deals, but that's what they're doing. And you're right, people like the bolt-on deals that they're doing. So I like more of their BD that they've done, what I mean by that is the licensing, lower outflow and more optionality. So they did a deal with a Korean company for in diabetes, and that looks like a great drug. So, or I'm sorry, Chinese company, and so I think they're obviously they're super smart. All these drug companies are super smart. So even when they look stupid, remember they have 10 people for every normal company that would have like one controller, they'll have 10. Or for every normal company where they'll have one BD person, they'll have 10. Like so they're very when you make the profits that the industry does, that they can certainly afford talent. The filling in a hole though is just very difficult. It's not something that you can outsmart someone to do. But no, I mean I still like it. I'm leery of it coming up with, but I think you have another couple years to worry, to not worry. So,
I mean, here we're at 96.53, and someone at some point said this was worth 134. So why can't it climb that wall of worry of the patent cliff and get there over the next 2 years? I don't think that's too much of a problem from what I see in the charts.
yeah. And part of the uptick is once Lilly did the deal and Novo did the deal with the administration and AstraZeneca did a deal with the administration, the blueprint for deals is out there. And so everyone thinks, okay, maybe the overhang is 90% gone or 80% gone. So
Yeah, and if you're saying that they're smart, well, take the blueprint, go to Trump, and make a deal, and then tack on $5 to your stock in a day.
yeah. All right, what else
Last
do you
one
have
I
for
have,
us?
and I think this is yours, Ovid, OVID,
Yeah.
and I like this. These. I kind of wish the energy names had these kind of volume spikes, but this is this has got everything I want. It's the moving averages have turned to the positive. The short term and long term looks good. I could say this is a flag or a pennant or whatever you want to say here, but this is clearly consolidating these big gains. Um, the change is in, and I think it's got a good chance of closing this gap. Which is basically 100% higher at $3. So this, I don't see a lot of these in technology land. I see them in healthcare and to a lesser extent in energy. And I just wanted to highlight that because if people say, "Oh, it's Nvidia or bust," it isn't. There's other things to do. Nvidia is a huge piece of the
Yeah. So
market.
yeah, they just announced that their CEO is going to step down to be just chairman, and they have a very talented COO who is, or chief medical officer. I don't know. It's a small company, so it doesn't really matter what her title is. Who's going to become the CEO? And I also know a very large fund that now owns in the last couple months a decent amount, and they're looking at it as the option on the pipeline. They weren't looking at it as, hey, the biotech market. Let's own some of these small names, and maybe the biotech market will be lifted. And so they're looking at late this year, really early next year for some data, and that it's binary, right? You can lose all your money on a stock like this. Small biotech companies that are losing money generally are a minefield, but they're in it for the pipeline, and I'm still riding along with it. I mean, I'm up over 100%. I wish I hadn't been talked into a small position from someone I'm related to who has no idea about healthcare, but said, "Hey, how much are you really willing to lose?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I made it half the size of the position that I wanted to. And those are always the ones that do well because God has a sense of humor. But I'm sticking around. Let's see what happens. But I wouldn't put my retirement on the line for a small cap. Not this. I'm not saying anything about this company. Just for any small cap money losing company. That wouldn't be that's not how I trade. So it's a good one. I like it, and it's certainly going to be volatile. So
yeah, so that's my theme for today. Healthcare is perking up, energy a little bit less so, and there's other things to do besides lament AI and spending and off balance sheet vehicles and all these other things.
Yeah. Well, if I hear Jason's name again and NVIDIA, I think I'm going to drive off the road because that's all people can talk about. And you're right. There are lots of other industries where people are making money and have good balance sheets. So with that,
Yeah,
why don't we? Wait a second. We have two things. First, our sponsor, Einstein Energy Bars. Make sure you go to einstein.energy and you find your energy bars. And then if you're eating your energy bar and you're like, hey, I wish I knew more about stocks and the market and investing, and at least what three bald guys are thinking of doing with their own money. I would go to wallstreetbeats.com or passes.com/wallstreetbeats. Sign up for the trial, check it out, get our chat, and see what we're doing behind the scenes. But with that, have a great week, everybody. And if you're cold and you're in New Jersey or you're in Boston, Just remember, it's 80 and sunny here in Florida.
Elegant sign off.
See
Thanks,
ya,
everybody. Thanks, Jen.